Meta launched its own rival to Twitter, a text-based social media platform called Threads. Within the first 7 hours, it had 10 million users. The app works just like Twitter. It lets you publish short-form written posts, like them, and reply to them. And it's also linked directly to Instagram, meaning Instagram's 2 billion monthly active users can easily transport their username and followers onto the new platform. Now, Threads is one of several new Twitter competitors to emerge in recent years. There's Mastodon, Jack Dorsey's Blue Sky, Trump-backed Truth Social, and Scott's own portfolio company, Post News. However, none have yet been able to rival Twitter's user count. As of 2022, that user count was 240 million. Scott, basic question, do you think Threads will be a success?
I think Threads is going to be arguably the best product launch of 2023. I think he's just in round one of the cage match between Musk and Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg is kicking the shit out of Musk. You know, I've been on this thing for now a total of 7 hours. We signed up earlier today, and I think I've already got 7,000 followers, and the ability to just click a button and say, follow all of my followers. I mean, here's the problem with Post, with Mastodon, with Blue Sky. That is, their feature functionality is really strong. They have great innovators. Jack Dorsey's a great product guy. Noam Bardeen is arguably the best product guy in the world. He invented Waze. He's at Post. I love Post News. It's got a better feel, better vibe, more news focus. But here's the problem. It's work. All of these things are work to get back to 10, 20, 30,000 followers. I've spent the last 15 years getting to 550 on Twitter. That's a huge moat. And I'm just like, do I really want to invest? I think most people are like, do I really want to invest the time and energy to get back to this, even distinct of how shitty Elon Musk is and his behavior? And what you have with Meta, or what you have with Threads, is a couple things. One, you have a group of executives. This is what they do. This isn't a rocket guy. If Mark Zuckerberg decided he was going to build a launch vehicle that tried to get into space to launch satellites, I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't work that well. That is what Musk is trying to do, all of a sudden deciding he's a media guy. He clearly has no fucking idea what he's doing. These individuals are responsible for 2/3 of the social media traffic in the world. They have all the advertiser relationships. They have the technology, the ad stack. They know how to whip up a social media pro. I mean, they know how to do this shit. They also know how to depress the shit out of teens and make us feel worse about ourselves and spread misinformation. But I'm going to ignore that. As it relates to social media and building shareholder value and audiences, these guys come to play. They're very good. And with a flip of the switch, I'm already at letter L within 7 hours. And that is just, he's going to take a cannon of 3 billion monthly users and point it at his new thing, Threads, because there is ego involved here. He controls the company. He genuinely does not like Musk. And you have what is effectively a very interesting case in disruption. And that is, disruption is more a function of the incumbents than it is of the disruptor. What do I mean by that? It wasn't that Amazon was that big a disruptor. It was infinitely cheap capital, good execution. But what made Amazon Amazon was that grocery stores and department stores and book and record stores sucked, and they hadn't changed in 40 years. Netflix was amazing, but more than how amazing Netflix was just how shitty and expensive ad-supported cable television had become, where you got 21 minutes of content for enduring 9 minutes of ads telling you to buy a South Korean car, a light beer, or that your legs were restless. So boom, in came the disruptor. And what do we have here? We have a $5 or a $2 billion company that used to be a $5 billion company that acts and behaves like a reckless man-child. I mean, it's literally like the management team is a raccoon on meth, the decisions they make. It's like, what the fuck is this thing doing? And he's coming in. It looks good. It feels good. It feels very Twittery. Anyways, Ed, I think it's going to be a huge. I think he's going to get, it's already the fastest 0 to 10 million platform in history. It's faster than OpenAI. It's faster than TikTok. I think this thing is a monster and is going to do really well for Meta. What are your thoughts?
Well, I wanted to ask you, as you're sort of the target creator for a platform like Threads, and when I think about, you know, I set up my Threads account. I haven't really done anything with it, but I'm feeling the same issue as you, which is I've invested all of this time into Twitter, and I don't really want to see this big seismic shift over onto Threads, because then I'm going to start feeling, okay, well, I've wasted all my time and I don't want to start from the ground up on Threads. And I guess my question to you is, what really is the value proposition for moving to Threads? Because when I look at the product, it's the same product. There's basically no difference. It looks a little nicer. The only benefit, in my view, is that you don't have the slight anxiety of, I forget how you put it, something like raccoon on meth management, and that slight threat and that slight risk that could ruin the product, and your work will go to waste, or whatever that is. So I guess my question to you is it because you think that the product is better? Is it because you're worried about what Elon will do to the company? Or is it simply, and this is a hunch that I feel about you don't like Elon and you don't want to support his investment?
So all of the above, but you summarized it. The primary value proposition of Threads is that it is not Twitter. And not only whether you're biased, there's a lot of people who like Elon Musk, a lot of people who don't, but let's put that aside. The move to a blue check business model, which was just pay for play, no verification of identity, no attempt to do what Open Web does, and that is rank comments by the veracity of the commenter, the data, and de-escalate heinous hate posts. That, like, all of that's gone away. So what you have is a group of mostly MAGA hat wearing or Elon stans who paid for the blue check, and quite frankly, their content just isn't as good. It used to elevate great content, and the blue check said this person has some credibility and is who they say they are. Now it's the blue check pays $8 to get more of their content heard, which doesn't mean it's good content. So what you have is this inextricable downward spiral driven off a business model that no longer elevates content based on the content, but based on who has a blue check. And the result is, one, the content just isn't nearly as good. Two, because he has essentially fired his entire safety team, it's gotten so vile. I mean, it used to be, oh, that's ugly. Now it's literally become noxious. The shit that, not me so much, but the shit that some of the people I know have to endure now, and just just how creepy and angry some of the dialogue has gotten on this platform. And then you look at the advertisers, it's literally ear cleaners and payday loan. Because no credible advertiser wants to have, Unilever's just not going to tolerate Dove, an ad for Dove showing up next to a swastika. And that's what you're dealing with when you advertise on Twitter. In addition, the management team is the team that keeps on giving here. This whole rate limit exceeded bullshit. No one can figure out what happened there. And then he comes out to explain it, which was basically him saying, the CEO, Linda Yaccarino, really isn't the CEO. Why is he announcing this? She should absolutely be announcing these kind of things. So what do you have? You have, one, it's not Twitter. And two, they're going to learn from the mistakes of Twitter, just as they learned from Snap. Snap really was the R&D department for Meta. Meta has no shame about ripping off. It feels very Twitter-like, but it feels cleaner. And so far, no one's calling me a libtard, or no, there isn't a lot of name calling, at least in the 7 hours I've been on it so far.
Give it time.
Give it time.
Day one.
But I think that they're
so. I mean, my follow-up question: like, do you think Threads is going to be any better? The company that pushed nooses to teenage girls. I mean, why is there any indication in your mind that Threads is going to come up with a cleaner, more high quality content diet through its algorithm than Twitter would?
Meta cares about money, and money for most of the time leads you to a productive, good place. I believe in capitalism. So people want inspiring, good content. The problem is the algorithms also sense that sexualized photographs or provocative photographs of people, no matter how young, gets a lot of viewership, so they let that run free. Rage, they let that run free. But Twitter has become, Meta doesn't do nearly the job they should, but Meta does have a safety team. I would bet it's now 5 to 10 times, if not 20 times. There's no one home at Twitter. They can't even get a podcast where they announce, or Governor DeSantis announces his presidential run with the founder of Twitter. Twitter is literally an empty shell. It's an empty, it's a shadow of itself. And so I find that the service itself and the content has just gotten so bad. Now, having said that, will Meta do anything to be less of a drag on the Commonwealth? Will they do anything to slow the acceleration in the rates of teen depression and self-cutting? No, they won't. But this product, I believe, so far shows real signs of success. And the story we didn't have in our notes, but it's worth mentioning, was that I think it was a Louisiana judge ruled that people in the government can no longer speak to social media platforms, and what is sort of another manifestation of the Trump presidency appointing far right jurors or people on the bench, and him deciding that free speech means the government is not allowed to speak to social media platforms. I got to believe this thing's going to be overturned. But you now have Nick Clegg going, I can do whatever the fuck I want, send out images of nooses, pills, and razors to any 14-year-old. And the government can't even issue a warning. The government can't even call me and complain about it. So there's problems across social media. I think we're about to see the mother of all misinformation in the first half of next year as we move into an election where we have a murderous autocrat who, if he doesn't get some victory in Ukraine, is going to find he's put in an office on the 11th floor with a big window. And the fastest way for him to a blue line victory would be if Trump gets reelected. And then you have these amoral management teams. You have Twitter, which is just totally off the rails. And you have Meta, which will always opt for thoughtful consternation and doing nothing as long as the check clears. So it's going to be the mother of all misinformation. But I do think Threads is going to be a better experience than Twitter. Twitter's just, Mark Zuckerberg isn't going to put out a thing saying, oh, your rate limit has been exceeded. We're limiting your viewership. I mean, I didn't even know what that meant. It was like I was watching, I don't know, The Umbrella Academy on Netflix, and they stop and say, sorry, download bandwidth exceeded. We're sending you this on DVD. I didn't know what it meant. I was confused.
And he increased the limit like 2 hours later. Yeah, I don't think he really understood what it really meant.
We didn't know if it was him trying to cover up a technical glitch or them trying to shove more people, motivate more people to sign up for a blue check. It just felt like a cover up or desperate, or probably what it was, just some guy's blood sugar and incompetence, and him calling one of his 11 remaining engineers saying, tell him the rate limit's exceeded and see what happens. I mean, it's just, it feels as if there is absolutely no one home. It feels like Al Pacino in Scarface when he's snorting 10 pounds of cocaine as the cartel surrounds his house and he's just making decisions, kind of happenstance.
What are we gonna do now?
We're gonna war. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna eat that salsa for breakfast. Close that fucker down.
Yeah, just makes me think back to all those comments saying, this guy builds rockets. You think he can't build a social media company? It's
no. Yeah, he can build a rocket. It's an entirely different skill set.
Well, anyway, I'm excited to see all the libtard comments come in. But I do want to take this one moment just to give some praise to Mark Zuckerberg. So he's been called a copycat throughout his entire career, and it's been a way of ridiculing him. And there have been failures when he's copied products. So he tried to copy YouTube when he did Instagram TV. He bought the Oculus, which, copying, he just acquired the company, and the Meta Quest has been a massive failure. But I also want to just go through like some of his wins. So in 2012, he bought Instagram, now has 2 billion users, basically the biggest social media company in the world. 2014, he acquired WhatsApp, also has 2 billion users. 2016, he started Instagram Stories, which he copied from Snapchat. And within a year, he had more people using Instagram Stories than Snapchat had across all of its users combined. And then in 2022, he started Instagram Reels, copied TikTok, and now he has 2 billion people using Reels every day. And I just think we should give credit to Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, there's that great Picasso quote, which is good artists copy, great artists steal. I feel like we're witnessing, you can call him out for being weird and for being a lizard and also for all of the misinformation stuff. But I feel like we're witnessing the greatest corporate artist of all time. And in a world where, he's showing that M&A and copycat products is truly an art form, and he's taken over the world with it. So I just want to give him the credit that I think he deserves on that front.
He's a brilliant business mind. And next to Elon Musk, he looks rational and nice. But let's not protect. I mean, Elon Musk, he strikes me as being a terrible role model for young men and young business leaders. He strikes me as somebody who is reckless with the people he knows. He accuses his coworkers of sex crimes. He doesn't pay his bills. I don't think he acquits himself well. Having said that, I believe he's good for humanity. I believe that the electrification of the auto industry and space exploration are all things that are going to move humanity forward. So really big picture, you would rather have Musk than not have him. On the other hand, Zuckerberg has become more of an adult. He's more measured, a family man, very intense about his stuff. I think he's a good manager. I think Facebook or Meta, on the other hand, is probably a pretty nice place to work, and I believe that they handle their employees with care. If you had a button to decide whether or not Meta should ever exist, you might push it. This organization has done real harm to the Commonwealth, to teens, to our elections. And he has to take responsibility for that. He's been in charge. So yeah, I would rather spend the weekend with Mark Zuckerberg than Elon Musk. But in a future world, if I can go back in time, I'm going to try and start a taco stand with my buddy, the Zuck, and keep him out of technology because Elon Musk, he's going to be good for the planet. Mark Zuckerberg, in my opinion, Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg have done real harm to the nation. And I think big tech on the whole, including Tesla, is a net positive for the world. The problem is with the word net. People say, well, they're good, leave them alone. No. Fertilizers, pesticides, and fossil fuels are net goods for society, but we have an EPA and an FDA. The only company you might argue that has maybe been a net negative of all of them is Meta. And he has to take responsibility for that. But for this moment, I'm on Threads and I'm loving it, Ed. I'm loving it.